Hey, we're live. It's the KSR Football Podcast presented to you by Friends of Cole. I'm Nick Roush. That's Drew Franklin, Adam Luckett, and Van Hiles here to hang out with you today to talk about another loss to Shane Beamer in South Carolina. The Cats have lost 4 straight after Saturday's 35-13. Is that right? 35-13? Yeah. Yeah, that sucked. But hey, we're going to have a little bit of fun today thanks to Friends of Cole. Friends of Cole, they've been around our Commonwealth for a long time. Cole has been a vital economic engine for a long time across the Commonwealth. It's resilient, reliable, and affordable. Cole's a critical economic contributor to Kentucky. By working together, we provide good jobs and benefits for future generations. I think I just saw some news about Cole getting a nice little bump too. So check out more at friendsofcolekentucky.org to learn more. Friends of Cole, proud presenting sponsors of the KSR Football Podcast. Yeah, that sucked. That was not fun. Drew, did you have fun staying up late talking about that?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Nothing about that was fun. I didn't think Kentucky would win. That was my prediction before the season, and then I just stuck with it on Friday. But the way South Carolina looked the 2 weeks before that, I didn't envision a scenario where you kind of get smoked. But that's exactly what we saw Saturday.
And, I mean, the worst part is you know that South Carolina is not even that good. I mean, Van, would you say, like, Kentucky, obviously, now at the bottom, but, like, of the SEC, is Arkansas the only other team that could compare with South Carolina? I mean, South Carolina is not good.
Well, South Carolina was not good the last 2 games. Well, look, you have to take it with a grain of salt if you watch the game. When you lose, here's the thing. The difference in that game, one of the big difference was their quarterback was better than our quarterback. We can't slice any other way. So if that's the case, when they play Vandy and he goes out in the end of the first, beginning of the second quarter, they might not be as bad as you think. Then he comes back next week against Missouri on the road after coming off concussion protocol. I'm sure they didn't run him they didn't run him as much in the run game as they did last week. So you got to take a grain of salt with all that. They're not good. Every SEC team is good. It's a fact that things happen the last 2 weeks that prevented them from using their stud. He's the best player on that team. Probably Dylan Stewart is a close second. Other than that, those are your 2 studs. And those 2 studs came ready to play and made plays.
Are we sure that every team in the SEC is good?
Okay. Let's see what happens. Like I'm gonna say, like LSU and Arkansas is a deal. LSU had a chance years and years ago to go to, I think, the BCS championship game, whatever. Guess who came to Tiger Stadium? Matt Fadden and Felix Jones. Ruined it when Arkansas didn't have a great year. Every team in the SEC is a good team.
Okay. All right. I like hearing that because, Drew, I was going to say that Kentucky is not a good football team. They are – I mean, if you just – like, let's just do last year to this year. The offensive line's better. I like the defensive line and the run defense, period. I mean, Sellers did some Sellers stuff, but you expect that. Seth McGowan, he's a great running back. Outside of that, it's like, like what do you have? It's not very good. And
to Van's point, though, Nick, which is the problem we've talked about, South Carolina has stars. This Kentucky roster, that's what we've talked about the entire time since all those guys left off that team. Since December, this has been the talking point to me around this football team is this roster, like, do you have the ultimate, like when the game's on the line, do you have the guys that go get plays? Because to Van's point, like you turn the ball over 4 times in a quarter, you're losing to whoever, right? Kentucky goes and loses to Douglas. If they go out there in the second quarter, they turn the ball over 5 or 6 times. Yeah. You're just losing that game.
Yeah.
You can't turn it over 4 times in a quarter. But you take that out, Kentucky's still not winning that game because they didn't have an answer for 16.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
And then after the hot start, like the opening script on offense, I think South Carolina went to a bare front and they really didn't have an answer to how to move the football after that. So to me, like that is the kind of the issue we're getting into in these games is just like like, is Kentucky's roster good enough, and do they have a plan to kind of work around their, I guess, overall flaws? And that, to me, is the most alarming thing, but it was our biggest question. At least it was my biggest question going into this season, was like, when you get into these games, do you have the guys that can go win you the games? And they've had to make a change at quarterback already. They don't, like, receiver is kind of a mess right now. Seth McGowan looks like a guy, but after that, it's just like, And then the secondary, that was supposed to be a strength of the team, that Mark Stoops and Brad White both said at media day, it hasn't really played out like that.
I know two players that were stars that have been pretty damn good elsewhere, Barry and Brown and Dane Key. They went into the portal last year. On3 ranked them as the 6th and 7th best receivers in the transfer portal. So you lose all that production, you got to replace it. What did Kentucky do? They signed 5 freshmen and 5 transfer portal players. Drew, guess how many of the freshmen have played so far?
4.
0.
Okay. Almost had it.
Guess how many of the transfers have caught passes?
I'm going to say 2, Bob.
2 have caught passes. 3 have 0 receptions. 1 hasn't even played. And here's the other part too. Can you guess how many passes Kendrick Law has caught that was thrown more than 10 yards down the field?
I know how many he's caught short, and that's been about all of them. So I'll say, I'm going to say 0% deep balls.
Well, they did throw 1 10 yards down the field to him, and he tipped it to South Carolina, and they scored a touchdown. So
that was tough.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of issues with this Kentucky offense. But having 0 wide receivers, like, that was my big worry going into the season. Luckett. Like, I got a little bit more specific on it because I know we had offensive line concerns. I think the offensive line's better. They did a good job on the portal there. But they don't have any talent there. And when you combine, like, we see it up in the press box. Like, those dudes aren't open. That first drive when they just ran the ball right down South Carolina's throat, they tried a couple shots and they never stood a chance because dudes were just getting bullied by cornerbacks. So as bad as Cutter Boley was and as turnover prone as he was, like, he doesn't get any lifelines out there. And so
and the offensive line has improved, Nick, because they paid a premium. They paid a premium price to improve that. So they paid a top dollar price to have, I don't know, the 10th best offensive line in the SEC, the 9th, right in the middle of the package, which I feel like that's what they are. And so, like, you talked about wanting to go out and get receivers and whatnot. They had to kind of, you had a budget sheet.
Yep.
That you had to balance. And so that's all playing out. And again, like, you go and get a quarterback, you had to, we still don't know how serious this injury is, but you had to press the abort button in week 2 on the quarterback. Things are just, it looks ugly again.
Well,
and then anytime they get in 3rd and 8, like I kind of joke with you all in Columbia, it's like, why are we even, I'm going to my, like, when I hear Stoops say, we're
not built for this.
Yeah, we're not built for this, or we getting predictable pass, we're going to be in trouble. Well, then if it's 3rd and 8 at the midfield, why are you getting aggressive there in a true drop back? Why not run a draw, throw a screen, and then punt? You can't do both. So, like, either you are or you aren't. So, like, pick one. Don't try to be both. Like, so again, we hear them today saying, right, which I agree with this. We have to be methodical. We're not explosive. Well, then why have we seen them repetitively be so aggressive, specifically around midfield? Like, why are they so aggressive? Then
double reverse.
I'm thinking if you have to be methodical, you're not really going to get aggressive around midfield. If you want to be methodical, you want to move the ball and get into the red zone. Those are the only. Seems like they're trying to do 2 things at the same time.
Those are the only situations where I'm looking at Bush sideways. It was one where he ran, quote unquote, buck sweep to doggone Harley Gilmore in the second half. And if you are a team that's up 10-7 The defense had one bad series, then they made them punt. Why on 3rd and long would you go drop back, knowing that Dillon and Brown are coming at you? Why not run a screenplay? Why not do anything that can promote you at least punting the ball and at least giving your defense a chance? And then to come back on the next series and try to pass again. I don't care if it's 2nd and 12. In that situation, when it's 14-10, we're still in the game, the doggone cock is going, pause, and the sandstorm is going. We don't need for us to push the ball down the field in that situation. 14-10, we're still in the game. Run the ball. I don't care if you lose 3 yards and it's 3rd and 15 or 16. You run it again, then you punt it. Let's regroup as an offense. Those are the plays that concern me because we don't have – I'm sorry. When you see your quarterback missing guys on the first field goal, he had guys that were potentially open. You throw guys open. There were opportunities that he didn't take advantage of. That means the picture's not clear for him. You can't put him in that situation. You just can't.
You could feel the magnitude leading into that 3rd down too. It's like, okay, this feels like it's going to be a big one because like best case scenario, you get the 1st down and then you really put South Carolina in a bind there, even if it's a field goal drive or hell, if they score a touchdown out of it, you can go up 2 scores. Their offense is really struggling, but hell, if they get off the field, you can at least pin them back. That was the worst case scenario. And some of it is just like, hey, that was, that was a great stunt. Like they drew 2 guys over. Jagger helped too much. He overhelped. And that big guy, number 6, Dylan Stewart, came in free. But how much does the game change if Shiaz Pete? He's right there. If he could just
fall on it.
It's right there.
It also, from a fan standpoint, it just sucks when your team is down 21-10 and it feels like the game is over. There was back-to-back defensive touchdowns. That's absurd. As Luckett said, when stuff like that happens, you're going to lose to about anyone. But even after that, you're only down 21-10 in the 2nd quarter. That should not be some big insurmountable lead. But as a Kentucky fan, 21-10 feels like let's just go ahead and head home. There's absolutely no way we can overcome an 11-point deficit. But that's the world we live in.
Stoops got asked about it today, and that was kind of his response was, we're just not really built to play from behind. And it's like, well, hey, did you see your roster? You should have built it to play from behind. Who are the, you know what I mean? Who are the guys out there that are going to give you leads all the time? And I think from a very big picture standpoint, Luckett, the whole winning within the margins and playing these close games, it's just, can you even do it in the modern SEC where teams are scoring all these points now? It's just,
well, yeah, I think too, they're just not as good up front as they used to be too. So they can't control the game as well as they used to be able to control it from a ball control standpoint.
Whoa, now I'm going to say this. I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say the defense is not one of their better ones this year. So, you can't walk into every Saturday knowing, well, we'll max out at 20 points.
Yeah.
We're going to win this game. That is not.
Yeah.
This it feels like this team's going to need to score 24-27 to win football games. And that's a mark they haven't really gotten to since Bush Hamden's been here.
This was a game, if you watch the start, where playing within the margins keep us in this game into the 4th quarter.
Yes, absolutely.
There are certain games, you can't play Tennessee like that. You can't play Ole Miss like that. But the rest of these teams, you can play like that. The problem is you go 5 possessions in a row. Fumble, interception, downs, interception, fumble.
In the same quarter.
If you really look at we had 4 or 5 more possessions and we scored on 3 of them. If you really think about the other 5 possessions outside of 5 turnovers, we actually did pretty decent. When you march that, look, as a defensive player, we marched down the field on South Carolina like they were Tate's Creek. First drive, it was the easiest drive ever. Think about it. The second drive was a pretty methodical, easy drive until we got inside the 9-yard line. So now you're thinking this is the game where we can punch them in the mouth for 4 quarters, and let's see what happens in the 4th. The problem is your next 5 drives, when you look at the stat sheet, when it's got red bars and possessions,
yeah,
those are not the red bars you like to see. You have 5 in a row.
And we talked about Stoops saying we're not built to really play from behind. They've been ahead in all these games.
Yeah.
they got the interceptions in 2 straight games, Eastern Michigan.
That's what's so damning to me about the early returns on the season is that you've actually gotten ahead 10-0 and 10-7 in 2 SEC games.
Yes.
And you trail by double digits in both of them in the 4th quarter.
And one of those 10 points in the first quarter, did we not score 10 points against Ole Miss in the first quarter too?
Yeah, it was 10-0.
Yeah.
All right. So now we scored 10 points in the first quarter and scored 3 the rest of the 3.
Yeah. I mean,
if you just look at the stats via quarter or the yardage, like first quarter is great, and then second quarter it's like 2 yards per play, 2 yards per play, 2 yards per play. So it's like they were highly functional for 2 drives and then an absolute catastrophe for the rest of the football game.
The stats might not back me up, but I feel like even with last year, Hamden, they'd look good on the first drive, scripted. Even this year, I think they've scored twice on the first drive, at least. Certainly, I think
sounds
twice.
about right. Maybe 3 times. Yeah.
But after that, good God, all bets are off. But it seems like he has them ready for at least the first series.
So let's just keep doing the script. And that was the part too. You could feel it, Van. Like they started bringing up DBs on first down and and some of the blitzes were just perfect. Like it was that Kentucky was running to the hole and South Carolina kind of lucked into it.
Yep.
But as soon as they started stopping the run on first down, you were just like, all right, well, guess this drive's over with. We're cooked. And that just there's just a lot of helpless feelings right now if you're a Kentucky football fan in so many ways. And I feel like that's just a microcosm of it is the offense. And it's infected everything else.
Yeah, it's bad. I would say this, as Drew was talking about the first series. Here's the thing, and I've said this for forever. You can't scheme guys open for 4 quarters.
Right.
You just can't.
Yep.
He has schemed guys open for the first quarter in every game.
Yep.
He has schemed tight ends open. The Willie Gonzalez play was a great scheme. It was a sniffer. The guys didn't see him there, man. He sneaks out. Oh my God, it's great. You can't scheme guys open all the time. That comes, as Adam said, we don't have a dude. Wandale Robinson was a dude. It makes everybody's job easier, including the defense, because if it's 3rd and 5, Wandale's going to get open. As a quarterback, I know I have a guy that I can throw to that's going to get open. We don't have a dude. And when your dude is your running back, as a defensive coordinator, I can take a running back away. I can't take a receiver out in space away. I don't care how good my DBs are. I can motion him. I can do things that are counter to what you can counter on the defense as far as double teaming. We don't have a dude on the perimeter. And I don't know how you find one. I don't know if you pay $4 million for him, because apparently that's what we do now. If you go acquire a guy, if you don't have one of those or a quarterback, I don't think South Carolina had any dudes on the perimeter too. But one thing they did have is a guy who touched the ball every snap was the best player on the field.
He's pretty good too. There was a lot of 16 jerseys walking around Williams-Brice Stadium, Mr. Luckett. A lot of them.
Yeah, and that was the most he ran the football all year. A lot of them were scrambles, but again, you'd have liked to seen a full game where it was more nip and tuck, I think, between those two offenses, because that South Carolina offense had struggled to this point, and really, they hit the one pass where the guy gets loose for 53 yards, but other than that, I thought the pass defense was mostly did a good job on Saturday. But their running backs had, I believe, 34 carries for 97 yards, so they did not run the ball really at all. So you would like to see a more standard game played out, but you can't turn the ball over 4 times in a quarter. Like you just can't.
All right.
And so that was really just the disaster. And then once that happened, we all felt it, I think, like Drew said. You just felt like the game was over, and it was just playing out the string from that point.
Okay. Here's a fun question. Drew, if Georgia turns it over 4 times in the second quarter, can Kentucky win?
No. Because I don't trust them to score off those turnovers.
I mean,
whoa, change the question, Nick. Change the question. If Ty Bryant has 2 pick sixes again, because South Carolina had 2 pick sixes or a fumble recovery, if we score on defense twice against Georgia, do we win?
Okay, that's a better clarification. If the defense literally takes it into the end zone for the offense, I changed my mind. But as far as just the offense getting the ball in scoring position, I don't have faith that will result in a ton of points. But if it is like South Carolina and we get back-to-back defensive touchdowns, then absolutely. Really, we just need to go back to like it was the first 3 weeks where the defense was the entire offense for a lot of those games.
I mean, South Carolina had as many defensive touchdowns in 3 plays as Kentucky has had passing touchdowns in 4 games. I mean, and that's the worst. Like, we can do the sad stats all day. I mean, we'll mention some more, I'm sure. But, like, there's
a lot of them.
Yeah, there's so many. And I think the thing that aggravates me the most about this loss is that it's not just that they aren't very good. It's that Shane Beamer has beaten Kentucky 4 straight years with not very good teams. Like, I think last year was his only really good team. The rest of them, I mean, that team with Spencer Rattler stunk. Like, they had no business beating that Kentucky team. They were not good. And then even the one 2 years ago, that was the Spencer Rattler team. Sorry. But it's just the sunglass game, too, the original one. Like, and it's losing to that guy. I mean, like, Drew, when after the game, Luckett said that Shane Beamer shouted out, like, he was like, was there a coach who, like, said that Beamer ball wasn't a thing? And as soon as he asked that, I was like, I mean, Boulware kind of made a joke about it, but he was literally nowhere. Like, when I say it was nowhere, it was me speaking with Jay Boulware with nobody else around. Ryan Black showed up, like, after I had asked this question. And, like, Boulware was complimentary for 5 minutes about Shane Beamer, who he worked with at Oklahoma. And yet Beamer finds this little, like, kind of quip. He's like, Beamer ball, are you talking about Virginia Tech? Like, kind of makes this quip. And then Beamer turns it into the crux of his post-game speech. This was 17 minutes into a video on the KSR YouTube channel that 1,000 people watched. It was after Bush and Cutter had talked. Like, nobody saw this but Shane Beamer. And he's got to go out and be a dickhead to somebody he used to work with. Like, because that's what Beamer is. Like, right? Like, you can use this motivation stuff, but, like, he's a dickhead about it. Like he's disrespectful, and that's why he is the most hated coach in the coaching community. PJ Fleck is up there. Like, there's, like, PJ Fleck does some similar stuff, but Shane Beamer is universally the most hated coach in the coaching community for stuff like that. Like, it's just like, did you really need to do that? Did you have to be a troll about it? And, like, I get, like, if your social media team wants to make videos mocking you, but, like, Beamer, like, grow up. Like, you're just acting like a child, a little Nepo baby.
To me, Beamer ball is when you can score on defense, you can make plays on special teams. And one of their coaches this week got asked about Beamer ball, and he said, I'm not familiar with that at South Carolina. That's a Virginia Tech Frank Beamer thing. So we'll see.
That's not what he said at all, by the way, the coach. He completely changed that.
Also, their special teams sucked against Kentucky. They kicked one out of bounds. They had a illegal fair catch.
The rule he complained about.
Yeah. They tried a fake punt and got stopped. I mean, like, their special teams is bad.
And they were bad last week.
I love our YouTube channel. Steven works hard. I love everyone here right now that's joining us on a Monday afternoon. But nobody watches the end of those interview videos.
Yeah.
The fact that Beamer told on himself is hilarious. That was like a 17-minute video.
The data of who watches it, it shows the.
You can see when they drop out, when people quit watching.
The little blip was, we know who it was. It was Beamer.
I mean, he's watching right now. He's watching right now. There's no doubt that he's in his office getting ready for their next game, listening to his favorite people, Nick Roush and Adam Luckett.
It's so weird. And that kind of like it's salt on the wound, right? That this nerd that needs all these, I mean, in all likelihood, he probably has some GA who is like his motivation man who scours the internet every day to find everything that Shane needs to see that he can take as a perceived slight to add motivation to him. That's not sustainable, but it's sustainable enough to win 4 straight over Kentucky. And like, it's so damn annoying. I mean, gosh.
And it doesn't help with games. I'm gonna just tell y'all, all this bulletin board material, trust me, doesn't help with players of games, doesn't help you win, doesn't help anything. It's just bulletin board material, just words. When someone smacks you in the mouth, all those words that were said before the game, you don't remember. So all that stuff, man, it means nothing. For him to bring that up, man, is Bush League a little bit.
And they did. There was some dumb luck involved where, hey, maybe the ball doesn't bounce out of Shiaz Pete's belly. Maybe Kendrick Law doesn't tip it directly to the player. I mean, like it was that guy had to just been like, really for me? I mean, it went right to him. And I forgot too on the first drive that they had a tip drill that went right to their player. It's just like. Kentucky has its own issues, but a little luck could go a long way. I mean,
it wasn't their night, but at the end of the day, like you still got to play a game after bad stuff happens, and the offense didn't do anything for 3 quarters. So, like even if you played a standard game, like you probably still would have lost because you can't score.
What's a standard game for Bush Hamden's Kentucky offense?
It would be 13.5 points per game against power conference foes.
That's awesome. That's fun for us.
So if your opponent scores over 14 points, you're gonna need a good night, very good night to win that football game.
Just going up 7-0 and then only allowing 1 second half score. Just those 2 things, you'd be like, well, we must have been in pretty good shape. But somehow they messed that up. Because they held them scoreless in the 3rd quarter, and then South Carolina had a 4th quarter touchdown. But that was it after halftime. And you're still not even in the hunt.
Yep, 7-3 in the second half. That shows you that this was a game to play under 20-point game and be close in the 4th quarter and see what happens. And we have the best kicker. Like,
yeah, he's still perfect.
It could have been a Mississippi State game. You get to the 40-yard line with 2 seconds left. You bring him out, 57-yard field goal. Let's go home. But
I mean, well, I guess I'm a little surprised that like I haven't seen it as much, or maybe I'm just numb to just the fire everybody stuff. But I am a little bit more surprised that like just fire Bush isn't more of a thing that's happening right now because like
I think it's the Stoops fatigue overall. But any other normal standard year, that would be
right.
everyone.
It would be fire Bush, but everybody just kind of lumps all of the offensive woes onto Stoops as well because it's it's a Stoops thing at this point, right?
Yep.
Like so.
Yeah, no one trusts him to go out and make a big hire. So what's the point in complaining about it? We're just gonna do this again. We're gonna watch this same movie,
which is a bad outlook because he did hire Eddie Graham and he did hire Liam. Unfortunately, those 2 guys, he let go of one of them, and one guy couldn't stay here for 12 months.
Yeah, I mean,
down to that too, but yeah,
the Jags too are beating the Niners. Like they're tied at the top of the division, right? Colts lose yesterday.
Yeah, they're both 3-1.
Yeah.
the Titans lost also, if you all were wondering.
Wait, no.
Yeah,
Really? Whoa.
They did. They lost.
Did we score more points than the Titans? Wow.
Well, the Titans scored 0 points.
Dude. You had a bad weekend. You had
wearing a cowboy.
two teams.
I got a Cowboys hat on right now because I root for teams that don't lose. They didn't win either. They didn't win either, but they at least tied. So I'm wearing their hat today.
Drew didn't get to see the touchdown for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So he watched. I would think he watched 90+ minutes of his teams playing football, or 100+ minutes of his teams playing football, and didn't see a touchdown.
Because I'm 40 years old now, I'm fumbling over getting to the game. I'm a pretty tech savvy guy, but I could not get over to the Kentucky game when Tennessee ran long. I was trying to do it with the app. I turned it on right as we're celebrating the McGowan touchdown. I even sent Roush a message either on KS Board or texted him like, "Hey, what was that drive? Didn't see it. I'm doing post-game show and didn't even see the first drive." And he says, "Kentucky ran it down their throats," in all caps. And I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be a fun night. All downhill from there.
So it's Drew's fault.
Yep.
Drew's fault. He came in the game and watched it, and then we can score another touchdown.
Precisely. I'll take it.
Sometimes it's my dad's fault, and he just has to quit watching the game. And for basketball games, if he turns it off, they do better, according to him.
Wow.
So, this is not an unusual phenomenon, unlike the Cats scoring points. Oh, it was very funny when that game last night, you turn it on and I'm tired and, long day in the car. But, it was nutty back and forth at the end. I think there was 3 scores in the last 2 minutes to force overtime. And so the overtime happens. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. Instantly fall asleep. Waking up and wait, huh? Wait, is it still 44? Like, what's going on here? That was very confusing. It's very
wild game. Nobody wants to hear about other people's gambling, but I parlayed 4 touchdown scores last night. Hit 3 of 4. My 4th was Tucker Kraft. They had to review twice on the 1-yard line because he was so close to scoring, and both were determined an inch short, costing me a ton of money. So, fun night gambling last night. If Tucker Kraft could go 1 more inch on either one of his should-be touchdown receptions.
Sounds like you had a great football weekend, Drew.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least I had the Ryder Cup.
These are the weekends you wait for all summer. Just give me to these weekends. I just want these weekends back.
Yeah. Well, last Saturday I buried my best friend, but this week much worse with the Ryder Cup, Titans, Kentucky, you name it, just absolutely getting kicked between the legs all weekend.
I mean, the Ryder Cup too. Every time you thought the U.S. was going to do something, it's like, oh, they hit a putt, and then the Euros be like, oh, let me show you how to hit a putt, and it just,
when your NFL team's, franchise player, his direct quote is "we ass." You're in a great place.
Hey, I really thought the Steelers were going to blow a 24-6 lead in the first game of the day too. They were up 24-6 in the fourth quarter and actually had to get a stop near midfield, or they were going to blow that game too. So football. It can be really hard on us, but hey, you're working hard. You just get one of these. See one of these big Brunt boots. Get you one of these. It'll kick you in the ass. Get yourself kicked in the ass. But
don't have these. Get those.
Yeah, seriously, these boots rock. This is not the Omen. This is the Karen, and it rocks. How when you get the ad read sometimes and you're like, okay, it says they don't cut corners and it don't sacrifice durability for comfortability. You're like, okay, sure. And it's not the Karen, it's the Marin. My apologies. But you say, all right, sure. I guess you don't have to break them in. Why not? No, you really don't. I walked all around in Columbia with them, had my kickers on Saturday. They were awesome. Very comfortable. And when you go up higher on the heel, up in here, it still is thick and warm. These boots absolutely rock at Brunt Workwear. BruntWorkwear.com is where you'll find them. BruntWorkwear.com/KSR, and you're going to get $10 off all the gear they have at Brunt. When we stopped at the Beaver on the way home, I saw somebody rocking one of the Brunt hats. Yeah, they got durable, reliable workwear from water-resistant jackets, heavy-duty work pants, hats, whatever it may be. Make sure you're getting your gear from Brunt. These are boots that won't disappoint. Don't sacrifice durability for comfortability. Get Brunt workwear. Promo code KSR.
Nick, yesterday I was trimming the sidewalk after a good mow. Just watched the Titans get shut out.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Kentucky stunk. I thought I could just take this weed eater to my foot and really take my mind off football. But if I had Brunt workwear on, I could have done that and not been bothered.
Yeah, seriously. Like you wouldn't have even felt it. You probably wouldn't have known. That has to be with some of these work boots. Like if you dropped a beam on your foot, would you even notice it? I mean, I don't want to test it. Like
yeah, we don't condone that with Brunt. I don't think that was in the ad read, but
like I don't know. Blue collar Roush over here.
When I think work boots, I think Nick Roush.
We did have a good time in Columbia, though. Like, you know, it's good hang there up until it wasn't. Right, it was a good time until it wasn't. We had some cold beers. Saw Poop Johnson, CJ Johnson, Farrington Huguenin. CJ's all Poop man. He's in good shape. Like
I barely recognized him in the picture.
Yeah, he's shredded, man. It's all those poops. Good for him. Good for him. I think we should talk more about the game, but I don't really want to because it sucked. Van, what cut up pissed you off the most when you were going through the tape?
I would say this. So I was watching the game live, and there was a guy who popped up on the screen. And I'm like, why is he in the game? Landon Watson. And he came and made 2 really good plays. But I'm trying to figure out, we haven't seen a lot of him in the first quarter. So I'm trying to figure it out why he's in the game. Then I look at the first drive, and our boy number 7, Rayner, is lost on the field. All those 4 big plays on the first drive that continue and move the chain were all on him. So for me, there's 2 plays that 2 players, 1 player and 1 play, that made me upset because we could have got off the field if he plays his assignment better. Then the other one is Kendrick Law. If Kendrick Law stays outside the numbers on the jet sweep on the second play of the game, that's 6 points. There's nobody else there. Macklin's in front, blocking the corner, in the backside corner was the only guy left. If he doesn't score, he gets inside the 20. Those 2 plays are the first thing that come to mind.
Yeah, that jet sweep, I know exactly which one you're talking about. I mean, you could see like it was just a lane, and for whatever reason, he wasn't able to make it. I don't really get it. Similarly, there was another jet sweep where he cut inside, but it didn't really matter because Dante Dowdell didn't block.
Yeah.
That was a rough look. Hey, here's a good thing. The defensive line is legit. Like Humphrey Grace, that was Luckett, one of his impact players. He was awesome. And then Tavian Gadsden. It's another guy who got healthy, and he's been awesome. So Luckett, 2 of your guys. It's almost like you know a little ball or 2. So.
Yeah, just being a sicko is all that is. But yeah, I think defensive line, you have to be really happy with the play you're getting. Like I think Gadsden, specifically, just he's a redshirt sophomore. Like you see, he's flashing every week, so that's a potentially, I think, building block for you. And McQueen Humphrey Grace is a guy you're going to get back next year, and you could see. I mean, the most impressive play of the defense to me was he just kind of ragdolled the tackle, and then he kind of ragdolled Sellers, who is not a small human being, into the ground. You can see the potential, and if he can keep growing, I think he can be a really, really good player. And he already is a good player, and you're starting to see them pop and make some plays. That game is interesting because it's their job for most of the game for the defensive front is to not over rush on Sellers, to kind of keep him in the pocket and stop the run, the traditional run game, which they did, I thought, pretty well. It was really when Sellers just kind of got out, like the one on Gusta, that was just a great play by Sellers, just keeping his balance. And then I'm trying to think of, then Luckett, they get a free runner on him and just miss him. But other than that, I didn't have a lot of it on the defensive line to me, kind of with Sellers getting out a little bit. But I thought they played good football, and they continue to play good football for Kentucky.
This might not have been a big deal to you all, but when I was at home and they started lateraling at the end of the half, I was losing my mind. And you all could see the whole field, so maybe it didn't feel as dangerous as it did at home. But they were throwing it to nowhere, and I'm thinking, are they going to have a third defensive touchdown right now? I was losing my mind. So it's good to know you being there and having the full view of it. It was as reckless as it seemed, but from my couch.
The lateral play, on the first or second lateral if it's going to work. Like, it should open. If it doesn't, then you're just going backwards. And the only thing you're doing there is making the guy keeping the stats pissed off because he's got to figure out how many yards to subtract. I don't understand why. Boley can throw the ball, and he can throw it a quarter mile. Just throw the Hail Mary. You've got a better chance to complete a Hail Mary there than to lateral it down the field, in my opinion, unless you have some type of picket fence play where you think you can really get something.
They do not have a picket.
They do not. So just throw the Hail Mary.
They actually thought Willie was Tyreek Hill. That's what they thought. They thought he was Tyreek Hill. He could just run for a touchdown like Tyreek did. I don't know, man. That made no sense.
On the broadcast,
it wasn't organized. It wasn't organized either.
No.
On the broadcast, it was a pretty tight shot, and I just kept waiting for a South Carolina DB to come into the screen going the other way and just pick off one of those lateral attempts. I was going absolutely crazy sitting at home at that point.
Well,
in the box, there was a thought like, oh my God, they're going to turn this over and like South Carolina's going to have a scoop and score. That was multiple people said that. Are they going to turn it over again? Are they going to South Carolina going to score again?
And even that didn't happen, but you still almost got, I forget who exactly it was, but that was Dylan Stewart who came screaming in and just absolutely, like, you're letting that guy get a free run at somebody who doesn't expect it? Like, you're trying to get him killed? It just
Barrier was like, thank you for that one.
I don't know. I don't understand.
That was right around the time. I don't think you all saw this either, but Stoops landed on his back, tripping over a yardage marker. There was just a little bit of chaos there for a little bit, in addition to the 2 defensive touchdowns in that same quarter. It was just all hell was breaking loose there for a few minutes before they could get to halftime.
Like, Cutter lost the ball on a third down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's have a conversation about Cutter, because I think some of it is to be expected because of what we know of him as a player and the situation that he's been put in. But like Vane, he was clearly rattled, and things got about as bad as they possibly could have gotten. And that is not a great – he's a confident kid. He's resilient. But that is setting a bad precedent moving forward. And it's not necessarily precedent either, because this is kind of what happened in the Louisville game too.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna give them a little bit of leeway on this for the first half debacle. They were massaging his arm, shoulder after halftime. I don't know if you saw it on the sideline before the second half started. Someone was doing something to his arm. Maybe he couldn't have thrown the Hail Mary. Maybe. The issue with Cutter is this, and it's every young quarterback, is the inability to process and throw guys open. You're not going to get guys who are just – this is not Tim Tebow with Florida wide receivers where probably all 4 of them went to the NFL and had a great career. We're not at that level. Sometimes you have to anticipate windows and trust yourself and trust the scheme to throw in the window. He's not quite at that level where he trusts the window. And if you don't, you're going to hold the ball too long and you're going to get sacked. I would say over half of those sacks were not on the O-line. They were on Cutter. And those are things you have to be able to do, is process things, identify the defense, especially when South Carolina is playing a lot of man. Identify the defense, identify your matchup that you like, and attack it. And he missed on, people are going to say the wide receiver was not open. Well, there were a few of them. The interception, Kendrick Law is open. He's open. Mm-hmm. Put the ball in a decent spot where at least throw him down, where at least we get a first down. There was time where Mackin was open they was running a little bit of an over with a shallow route. He was open. Like there are situations where guys are open and he's not getting it to him. So he's got to let the game slow down for him and anticipate better, because we don't have a receiver that's going to get open every time, but there are windows that are there that he's not anticipating.
And I think the worry is, Luckett too, is like this whole, like for things to slow down, you kind of got to build a little bit.
These next 2 games aren't the 2 games.
Yeah, right. Like that's
the next 4, really.
Yeah.
Auburn beast.
Yeah, Auburn too. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Tennessee's not in either of these 3 teams' ballpark, in my opinion, on defense. But Georgia, Auburn, and Texas, that's the front. Good luck, brother.
Yes.
Like he's going to be under pressure in these next 3 of these 4 games a ton, and they're not going to running the ball. They're going to have some. They're going to run into some walls in both those games, in all 3 of those games.
And Auburn DBs are probably some of the most aggressive DBs in the conference. They're going to get up and smell whatever type of gum that you use. They are right there on you. It's going to be hard for our DBs, for our corners to get, for our wide receivers to get open. We're going to have to rely on Caddis and Willie a lot in that game, because I don't think our wide receivers are going to be able to handle their press man at all.
Yeah, it's just concerning. Like, how are they going to score, right? Like these next few games, and like what's the path, and just how they go down it.
It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And, and then you ask Stoops, and it's just like, we're a better football team. And it's like, well, how are you going to do that? Well, we just have to be better in all areas. I'm like, I know that, but like from an actual, like, I would love to know when they sit down in those meetings Monday and they're like trying to put together a game plan. What is even like how? Where do you see success? Like how are you going to make it? Like what?
Let's trick Kirby into getting our star punter and their star punter into a playoff.
Yeah, like they kind of got into it last year, but like last year's defense was a whole different ball game, and Georgia's offense was a whole different ball game. They got some receivers that can go. Right, Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, the other kid from Vandy is playing better this year, Humphreys. Like, I can be as drunk on Big Blue Kool-Aid as I could possibly be, but my brain will still not be able to add 2 + 2 to = 4. And 4 touchdowns. Like, in how many weeks will it take to get there? Like, it's just like what am I wrong, Van? Like, how does this get better?
I'm gonna say this as a guy who's going through it this year with our high school team. In the coaches, when we're upstairs in the coach's office, there are things that are said that are not going to be put out in public. There's nothing else Stoops can say. We understand as a coaching staff what we up against. We understood what we was up against preseason. I'm sure Stoops understood what he was up against preseason. What else can you say? You can say, well, we don't have a quarterback. We still don't have a quarterback. What else can you say? Well, our wide receivers are underwhelming. Do you really want to say that for these guys to really get a hold of it from a coaching staff? We all know you don't have to hear it from him. I think any credible football mind, you don't even have to be a great football mind, sees the issues. As a coach, you can't blast that in the public. You got to use coach speak. That's just the name of the game. I can't say whatever about our players in high school, and they're not gonna even hear it. But you can't say that. You can't do that to them. So I don't know what you want to hear, except that, hey, it's a new week. We gotta go back to the drawing board. We gotta execute better this week than we did that. Like, what else can you say?
Yeah. And Roush, to answer your question, when you said when he looks down and trying to put it together, he knows what he's missing. He knows he doesn't have an SEC quarterback right now.
But it's just like, well, then how? Like, where do you find a win, and how do they find a win?
They don't. sadly.
Well,
And
here's the thing, guys.
then you're not in the, and then you can't be in the room anymore making up the game plan.
Well, you got to find the path to how you win games when some more the more winnable games approach your schedule. Like, so for me, it's like, okay, today, what did we learn from today? We can't overcome turnovers. So to me, it's like, okay, we have to win the turnover battle. So how do we operate to how we have to win the turnover battle? Do we have to get more aggressive in certain situations on defense? Do we have to get more conservative in certain situations on offense? To me, I think you've got to get Cutter Bowley to a place where he's playing more comfortable against these teams. Like 9 turnovers in the 2 power conference games he started. Now he left early in the Louisville game, but he's had 4 interceptions and 3 fumbles.
Yep.
4 picks, 3 fumbles in these 2 games. Like, you have to find a way to clean that up. Like, so for me in this Georgia game, finding a way to play clean, I think on offense is a really big deal. And then eventually, like, you need a receiver to win a one-on-one at some point. Like, can you find anyone in any certain situation or in any certain concept that you maybe have an advantage there? And so that's really, I think, what these next few weeks are. And to me, like, Harley Gilmore's this young player, and I think he's having a frustrating season so far. But he played like 15 snaps on Saturday. I don't think you can do that moving forward. Like, you've got to kind of let him grow through some bumps in the road. I mean, so I think getting him involved is maybe something you try to do a little bit more. But yeah, I think these next few games are going to be rough, but you're almost working towards the future now. And like, there's a lot of stuff out there with Stoops and what they should do. They got to find out what they have with Cutter, and they got to see if he can succeed with them. But first you got to get him. You can't have the turnovers. Like, you cannot operate like that. So you got to get him settled in and figure out what he can do and what you can do with him. And that's really what these next few games are about before November rolls around, in my opinion.
I think Stoops needs to get my old Kentucky home repair in those meetings. They'll fix it.
The home does need repaired right now.
Proudly serving the Bluegrass region since 2008, my old Kentucky Home Repair offers handyman services, home repairs, remodels, and more. Head to their website, myoldkyhomerepair.com, to learn more. You can also call them at 859-940-3376. And, like, to make a allegory, like, there is very much some people are ready to tear burn the whole house down and rebuild it, because just getting a handyman in with some hammer and nails ain't going to do enough to fix the mess we're in. But the reality of it is just that they are in a big mess, and it's going to be bad for at least a month. And that's a quarter of the season or a third of the season, excuse me. And people are checking out. That was one thing that I wasn't shocked by it, but there wasn't the typical reaction to the loss on Saturday night. I think a lot of people just turned the game off, quit watching, which it's not good.
The fans aren't able to send a message anytime soon, though, with Texas. The road game, then Texas, Tennessee are going to have a crowd, even if they're wearing the other color. It's Keeneland. People have planned on that weekend before the schedule came out. That's even more than the actual play on the field.
Right.
So I don't think the fan base is truly going to get to show their frustration until, heck, maybe even all the way to Florida. Because otherwise, if you had a Tennessee Tech or an Eastern Michigan or something this following week, I think a message could be sent. But it's going to be a while before the fans are even able to – they'll turn it off at home, but I don't think we'll really see it from the fan base until late in the season.
And another thing, Nick, like because we're entering this stretch, 3-game stretch, but that South Carolina game played out like these other games where you played teams that you felt like you were a peer to and that you could win, and you didn't even give yourself a chance to go win in the game in the fourth quarter. All of these games are playing out like that for the most part. Like Auburn, you decided, well, Jarquez Hunter, let's go run a 5K. What were some of the other games? Florida, DJ Lagway, let's throw for a mini marathon.
Yep.
So,
same thing.
Then Louisville, Isaac Brown.
Yeah.
Let's see how fast you can run. So they're not even giving themselves a chance in these games, and that is the most concerning part because you know what you're up against when you get up against, I would say, some of these playoff teams when you're talking about Texas and Georgia. But, like, these teams like a South Carolina team that's going to go – like, to me, that South Carolina team is a perfect example of what Kentucky has to beat to be successful in a single year. That team is probably going to go like 5-7, 6-6. In a good Kentucky year, you beat most of, if not all of those teams, those caliber teams. And so they went and played that team, and they lost 35-13 because they puked all over themselves in the second quarter because they didn't give themselves a chance to win. They have to figure out in those games. They can't. They're honestly, like, it's self-inflicted, and they're just ruining the chance to win these games. So they got to fix that. That's the number one thing they have to fix. Like, and we'll see those. I know it's down, but there's going to be games here in the second half where they're going to play teams that are on the level, and we'll see if they're any better at that. But that's been a huge issue dating back to last year.
Yeah, like this was a coin flip game, and you got blown out, and it wasn't one of the good teams.
And there's been like 4 of games like that in the last 2 years that they've gotten blown out. South Carolina last year, South Carolina this year, Auburn last year, Louisville last year. It keeps happening.
And that's what got Sam Pittman fired. So we got our first vacancy. We went a whole year without a change in the coaching carousel in the SEC, but I believe, is that 5 jobs that are now open? Is it 5 power?
Yeah, I think 5 if you count Stanford.
Yeah. Power conference jobs that are now open already, and the calendar hasn't turned to October yet.
Right. That's crazy.
It's September.
That is crazy.
Hey.
As a player, how do you play for a guy who, like, why is this popular? Well, you guys know, why are they firing coaches in September? What's the benefit?
Because Virginia Tech went and won on Saturday. They didn't want to Brent Pride and win more games, and they had to keep them. Which there's another one. Luckett called it, man. That was one of his locks.
I think a combination of, like, last year that everyone was just kind of scared of, like, financially what place they were going to be in with rev share coming. Okay. And then now that they're on more stable ground, it's like, well, let's fire the coach we should have fired last year right now. To Nick's point, because you don't want him winning games, and then maybe you aren't firing him. If you're ready to fire him, fire him. But I think it's created a situation where coaches that would have been fired weren't fired last year because of the rev share situation.
So basically not another Les Miles situation where they fired him and then kept him because he won the last 2 games. Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Which
September is crazy though. Yeah.
If you look at Kentucky's schedule, they might win some games late in this year. Like, and I'm not.
Look at South Carolina and Florida schedule. It's the same thing for everybody.
There are going to be people like Kentucky could beat Florida, and there will be Kentucky fans that are mad because
they beat Florida for the 3rd time in 4 years.
Right.
Yeah, they'll be mad. They're like, well, damn it, we're going to be stuck with Stoops now. We're Big Blue Nation in a weird spot. Weird spot with this football team.
I mean, Saturday night, I did the post-game show. Sure, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and the wind's fresh. But looking back, Billy and I talked about this. I think every single caller said he's got to go. And that's not me asking their opinion. That's me hitting a button and saying, your turn, you speak. It was like 17 for 17 said, you got to do it. That just shows you where the fan base is.
Yeah. And I know that you get different sample size from whether they're calling into the show or whether they're on the message board or whether they're not online at all. But the approval ratings are very low for this administration. And, the message board genius guy, he likes to say fire everybody. Like, that's the one button Stoops hasn't pushed yet. And who knows at what point this season we'll get some changes. I don't know. But things are bad right now. There's not a very bright light at the end of the tunnel. It's actually that train coming down the tracks. It's the Mean Machine in red and black. And Cats got Georgia on Saturday. Drew, do we think Kirby plays nice like he typically does?
Their outcome last week probably changed the attitude in that locker room heading into this game. Georgia losing last Saturday did not help Kentucky's chances. Not that you're going to sneak up on a Georgia; they're professionals, but they have a little more incentive to show off next week after losing that game. So, no, I don't think he plays nice, even though he and Stoops are boys.
All right.
He will not run it up if given the chance. But it could be an ugly 30-10.
10? Hey.
3. 30. Well, they score one. One's not hard. They usually get one, Nick Roush.
And also running it up, it might not be that hard to do. Like, he might not be intentionally running it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, this is a good test for the defense because how Georgia plays. I think Kentucky typically matches up pretty well on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, I think this is a good test to kind of tell us where they're at defensively. And then offensively, it's the opposite. Like, this is typically the worst kind of matchup for Kentucky's offense. So it can be pretty ugly. But defensively, it could be a good barometer to tell us kind of where they are on that side of the football.
Yep, I agree. Definitely.
How'd you do down there?
What's that?
How'd you do?
Oh, don't even start. We should have won. You know what? It's kind of weird that we're having the same issues when I played down there that we're having now. Offense just couldn't put points on the board. It was Hines Ward and I can't remember the running back. I think the final score was 17-12 or something like that. Like, it's a perfect matchup, like Adam said, for our defense. It's can the offense not shoot themselves in the foot? I don't know if Georgia scores 30 points. I really don't.
Yeah, they struggled to score at certain – if you take the Tennessee game out, which Tennessee's defense might be bad, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Nick. Like
a little bit.
It might be bad. But they struggled to score against Marshall. They let Austin Peay hang around. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Kentucky defense plays well. They can, I think, keep them in the high 20s, but, like, Kentucky, can Kentucky's offense even get close to that?
1995 final score: Georgia 12, Kentucky 3.
Wow, I gave us more points than we got.
12.
I knew it was 12.
That's a lot of field goals there.
You got to give Van more than 3.
The year before it was 34-30 at Commonwealth, but 96 we got the dub 24-7.
I was there at that game in 96.
Yep.
Was it
Had
Donnan?
a nice pick in that game.
I believe so.
Was that their coach then, Jim Donnan?
Was it Jim still?
It was golf for a little bit, but I think Donnan was in 96.
It might have been him.
Yeah.
I know that Mike Bobo was quarterback.
Oh, yeah, man. I remember him as a quarterback because I thought that name was funny as a 7-year-old kid. Now Mike Bobo's still in my life all these years later.
I'll take 12-3, though. If it's 12-3, we're going to have fun down in Athens. But noon kick, is that ABC or ESPN?
ABC.
ABC.
Oh.
It's noon. It's all good. No one's watching that. It's noon. No one's watching that.
They're going to be locked into Michigan, Wisconsin. Big news Saturday. Yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun. We're going to do these every Monday. We appreciate you joining us on the KSR Football Podcast. He's Drew Franklin, Van Hiles, Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.